Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Monday, the 9th of July. India's apex court upholds the death for 3 men in 2012 Delhi gangrape case. 1 militant killed in encounter with security forces in India's Jammu and Kashmir. And 4 Indian fishermen apprehended by Sri Lankan Navy. And now for all the details. India's Supreme Court on Monday upheld the death sentence in the 2012 Delhi gangrape case, a crime that sparked widespread protest, leading to stronger anti-rape laws. The top court pronounced its judgment on the review petition filed by 3 out of the 4 convicts handed death penalty.
India's Supreme Court on Monday upheld the death penalty for 3 men convicted in the gang rape and murder of a young woman in New Delhi in 2012, a landmark case that focused attention on violence against women. The top court dismissed a petition filed by the men to review a 2017 order by it, which had confirmed the death penalty given to them by the Delhi High Court. Among 2 other accused, one committed suicide in jail in 2013. Whereas one juvenile accused walked free after serving 3 years in juvenile home.
See, the order will be implemented, but then there are 2 more steps from here where the accused can go for. There's a curative petition and then there's a presidential mercy as well. So I think the only request for central government is to expedite whatever proceedings have to happen after this.
सरकार से आग्रह है कि अब आपकी प्रक्रिया है इसको जल्दी जल्दी पूरा करके इनको फांसी पर लटकाओ.
The incident, which took place in 2012, sparked national outrage and several protests were held in the Indian capital. People in huge numbers came out and demanded justice for the 23-year-old medical student who later died of her injuries due to the brutal gang rape.
Indian Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj on Monday met South Korean President Moon Jae-in in New Delhi to boost bilateral ties between the 2 nations. The 2 leaders held discussions on further elevating the special strategic partnership by expanding ties across several sectors.
Indian Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj called on South Korean President Moon Jae-in on Monday in New Delhi to enhance bilateral ties between the 2 countries. During the meeting, the 2 leaders held discussions on further elevating the special strategic partnership by expanding ties across several sectors. They also shared commitment to values of democracy, open society and liberal international order. Earlier on Sunday, the South Korean president visited Swaminarayan Akshardham Hindu Temple, a spiritual cultural campus in the Indian capital. He is scheduled to hold delegation-level talks with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday, and both the leaders are expected to sign various trade and defence agreements. This is the first ever state visit of the South Korean president to the Indian subcontinent. According to the Indian government, the visit is the extension of India's Act East policy. The bilateral trade between the 2 nations, according to Indian Foreign Ministry, stands at $20 billion.
1 terrorist was killed in an encounter with security forces in India's northern Jammu and Kashmir province on Monday. Meanwhile, in another incident, terrorists hurled a grenade at a joint camp of India's paramilitary Central Reserve Police Force in Pulwama district of the province.
1 militant was killed in an encounter with security forces in Kupwara district of India's northern Jammu and Kashmir province on Monday. The encounter broke out between the security forces and the militants on Sunday night after a coordinated search operation was launched in a forest area in the district. The gunfight was still underway till the last reports came in. Meanwhile, in another incident, militants hurled a grenade at a joint camp of India's paramilitary Central Reserve Police Force in Pulwama district of the province. India accuses Pakistan of arming and infiltrating militants across the border to spread unrest in Kashmir Valley. Pakistan denies the allegations.
In news from Afghanistan, the opponents of Afghan President Ashraf Ghani have accused him of being autocratic over the arrest of Nizamuddin Kaisari, the police chief of Kaisar district. The arrest has sparked a fury amongst the people in a number of northern provinces, and several protests have been held since last week.
Ata Mohammad Noor, the chief executive of Jamaat-e-Islami Party, and Mohammad Muhaqiq, the second deputy of CEO Abdullah on Sunday accused Afghan President Ashraf Ghani of autocracy over the arrest of a police chief. They blamed Ghani takes decisions without the National Security Council's input and then tries to implement them without consulting government officials. The two leaders said the decisions like the arrest of Nizamuddin Kaisari, the police chief of Kaisar district, and the exile of General Abdul Rashid Dostum were against the law of the country.
مطابق با ماده 28 قانون اساسی هیچ تابعی از کشور کسی حق سلب تابعیتش نداره. بازم بند دیگه همین قانون هیچ کس حق تبعید یک کسی نداره. پس معاونی اول که مسئولیت قانونی داره مربوط یک تکت انتخاباتی هست با کدام جرم ملی خیانت ملی با اصلا نمیتونه به کشور خود برگشت.
روز ما یک تقاضا کردیم که بیا بعد از میگم جنرال صاحب دوستم میاریم. این دنیا گوش باز شود و حکومت هم باز شود. اگر نیاره میاریم. بعد از در افغانستان اگر بحران میره میشه بحران مربوطی.
Last week, Kaisari was arrested by special forces in Faryab, but his arrest sparked fury amongst the people in a number of northern provinces. In reaction to his arrest, hundreds of protesters from Faryab province took to the streets last week and called on government to free Kaisari.
More news from Afghanistan. The People's Peace Movement in Afghanistan has now decided to send activists to Taliban-controlled areas and hold talks with the group to convince it to join the peace process. The activists hope to seal a permanent ceasefire between Taliban and the Afghan government.
A group of People's Peace Movement activists will be assigned to travel to Taliban-controlled areas and hold talks with the group leaders of the movement have said. The decision came as the peace activists continued their sit-in protest outside the Russian embassy in Kabul. Members of the movement said the Afghan government has accepted the demands and that they will now take their peace demand to the Taliban.
حالا یک کمیته را ساختیم از ریش سفیدان و علمای دین. وظیفه این کمیته می است که در ساحات طالب ها بروند.
سوال نمانی، شرایط نمانی، نخواهی کافر ده. ده کنده. دلت بمنی داده دیگه زلگه نداریم زلها خدا داریم سینزه که آسمانی پیدا کرده.
The People's Peace Movement, previously known as Helmand Peace Convoy, had initially launched a protest in Laskarkar city of Helmand province after a suicide bombing outside a stadium in March. About a month later, a group of protesters left Helmand on foot by Kabul. They have now been holding sit-in protests outside diplomatic offices and missions in the Afghan capital, hoping for peace. They now plan to hold a sit-in protest outside the Pakistani embassy.
Sri Lankan Navy on Sunday arrested 4 Indian fishermen and seized their boat for allegedly poaching in its territorial waters. Fishermen from both the countries frequently stray into each other's territory and end up spending years in jails.
4 fishermen belonging to India's southern Tamil Nadu province were arrested by the Sri Lankan Navy on Sunday by allegedly poaching in its territorial waters. The fishermen had gone out fishing when they were apprehended by the Sri Lankan Navy near Mandapam town in the early hours of the day, and their boat was also seized. The fishermen were also charged with using banned fishing nets, according to reports.
184 படகுகள் அங்கே சிறைப்பிடிக்கப்பட்டு சின்னாபின்னமாகி சேதமாகி அந்தல சிந்தனையாகி போயிருக்கு. அந்த படகை எடுத்தாலே அந்த படகு வாங்குற அளவுக்கு செலவு அளிக்கக்கூடிய ஒரு நிலைமையில் அந்த படகுகள் இருக்குது. அதை தொடர்ந்து இன்னும் இன்றைக்கி நேற்று 2 படகு, இன்றைக்கி ஒரு படகு, 3 படகு, 187 படகாச்சு. படகோட எண்ணிக்கை கூடிக்கிட்டே போகுது. தடவை இந்த அரசு ஒரு கண்டன குரலோ ஒரு கேள்வியோ கேட்காம எங்களை வேடிக்கை பார்த்துக்கிட்டு இருக்காங்க. ஒட்டுமொத்த மீனவனை அழிச்சிடுறது அந்த அரசாங்கம் இலங்கை அரசாங்கத்தோடு சேர்ந்து கூட்டு திட்டம் போட்டிருக்காங்களா என்னன்னு தெரியல.
India shares an expensive oceanic border with Sri Lanka without any perceptible demarcation, and fishermen on both sides ignore rules while netting their catch. Sri Lanka has long fumed over poaching and illegal fishing by Indian fishermen that it says depletes the catch of its own fishermen. The Sri Lankan Navy had earlier on July 5th arrested 12 other fishermen from Tamil Nadu for allegedly fishing in its waters.
Farmers in India's northeastern Nagaland province are nowadays eyeing on alternate ways of livelihood, shifting the paradigm from conventional farming. Under the guidance of the Nagaland Honey Mission, a growing number of farmers in the province are opting for beekeeping to supplement their incomes.
Farmers in India's northeastern Nagaland province are nowadays striving to make apiculture a full-fledged occupation and to create a good revenue out of it. Apiculture or beekeeping has been a long tradition in the province as people practice the crude methods by using bamboo hives, clay pots and soil hives. In line with the Sweet Kranti or Sweet Revolution, an initiative of Indian Prime Minister to boost mass production of honey, authorities in Dimapur district have also distributed free bee boxes and colonies to the people recently.
Iman interest hagenai kindu honey mission staff khan ahegni training ki hika pichede interest digne palya suru hoiche.
A total of 40 beneficiaries have been given 10 free bee boxes each and toolkits under the Honey Mission in the province. This mission aims to provide sustainable livelihood program, creating employment and income-generating avenues in the province, including the far-flung areas.
In a unique initiative, differently abled drivers have started a bike taxi service in India's southern Chennai city. Not only it has been adjusted according to their needs, but also generates employment options for them.
A bike taxi service started by differently abled drivers in India's southern Chennai city has not only created an independent employment platform for the differently able, but has also given the city a unique service which it seems to be adapting to. The service named Ma-Ulla, which means a ride with challenge, was started by two differently able men, Balaji and Muhammad Gaddafi, 2 years ago and currently has 30 scooters which are modified according to the needs of the drivers. The service that has both men and women differently able drivers fetches them around $290 to $440 per month.
ஆரம்பத்தில் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா கொஞ்சம் கடினமாக தான் இருந்துச்சு, வருவாயெல்லாம் கொஞ்சம் கம்மியாக இருந்துச்சு, மக்கள் பயந்தாங்க. பின்னால் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா நாங்கள் எந்த விளம்பரமும் கிடையாது. எங்களுக்கு என்ன விளம்பரம்னா ஊடகங்கள் தான் விளம்பரம். ஊடகங்கள் மூலமாக நாங்கள் மக்களுக்கு வந்து எடுத்து சொல்லப்பட்டோம் இந்த மாதிரி மாற்றுத்திறனாளிகள் மாவுலான் பேரில் வந்து பைக் டாக்ஸி ஓட்டுறாங்க. இன்றைக்கி பார்த்தீங்கன்னா 2.5 வருஷம் ஆகுது. இன்றைக்கி இது வந்து ஒரு 30 பேருக்கு வந்து வேலை வாய்ப்பு கொடுக்குற அளவுக்கு வந்திருக்கு. மாற்றுத்திறனாளிகள் பொதுவாக பார்த்தீங்கன்னால ஒரு ப்ரைவேட் கன்சர்னில் போனோன்னா 6,000 ரூபாயிலேருந்து 10,000 வரையும் தான் கொடுப்பாங்க. இன்றைக்கி மாவுலாவில் ஒருத்தர் ஓட்டுறோடைய வருமானம் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா மாதம் 20,000 ரூபாயிலேருந்து 30,000 ரூபா வரையும் சம்பாதிக்கிறாங்க.
According to Gaddafi, the friendly able people are usually left without very less work choices, and Ma-Ulla makes them their own boss along with employment. Although the concept of bike taxis, especially one run by the disabled, is relatively new, the people of Chennai have warmed up to them over time and feel less vulnerable around these differently able bike taxi riders.
Well, that's all we have for you from South Asia this evening. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.